Are you okay to start? And everyone can hear me? Right, wonderful. So I will now call this Committee of Adjustment meeting to order, and I will begin with a land acknowledgement statement. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge with respect the history and living culture of the Anishinaabe, the people of the Free Fire, known as Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi Nation, who have inhabited this land from time immemorial. We recognize that these lands are the treaties of the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of the Nawash, collectively known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, the keepers of this land. Georgian Bluffs is located on land encompassed by treaties 45.5, 67, 72, 82, and 93. We reflect on our role as treaty people and the need to live in respect and peace and show respect to the first peoples who inhabit these lands and waters. Moving on to item 3 of the agenda. Asking for a mover and a seconder for the agenda to be approved as presented. Moved by Member Coburn and seconded by our new member, Mayor Carlson. Thank you. Is there any discussion on the agenda? No. Moving forward, I will call the vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Item number 4, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Okay. And moving on, I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder for the previous meeting. I don't know if we can do this at this meeting with just 2 members present from the previous meeting. Are you able to verify?
If I may, Madam Chair,
Absolutely.
perhaps we should wait until the next meeting when we have more members who are at the September meeting to go over the agenda, or sorry, the minutes.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. All right, so we will skip over that and we'll leave that for the next meeting. New business. So we have a new member. So I'd like to please welcome Mayor Sue Carlson as a member of the Committee of Adjustment. And I will ask Sue if she would like to provide any comments or say anything.
Thank you, Michelle. And it's lovely to meet you, even if it's virtually. And I am here because of Ryan leaving and moving on to be CAO of the township. So I'm looking forward to it. I've taken once again the Committee of Adjustment courses online, so hoping to be up to speed. So good to be here.
Welcome. Thank you. Okay, so with Ryan's departure, we have a vacancy for the chair position. So we need to appoint a new chair and possibly vice chair for the committee, and I will turn to the secretary treasurer to proceed with the election.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just saw that member Coburn had her hand up. I didn't know if she wanted to say anything before I started with this or not.
No, I was just going to jump right in with nominations. I didn't know there was going to be a preamble, but you go for it, Michael.
It's only one sentence, so then we'll jump into that. So following the resignation of Chair Thompson, nominations are being held to fill the vacant position. Does any member wish to bring forward a nomination for board chair? Mayor Coburn? Sorry, Member Coburn.
Thank you. Member Ron Glenn, who's absent today, has expressed an interest, and so I would be happy to put his name forward and nominate him.
Thank you. Are there any other calls for nominations? Okay, this is going to be easy. So seeing none, then the recommendation would be that member Ron Glenn be appointed as committee chair, and then that said appointment take immediate effect. As member Glenn is not here this evening, he would be the chair for the next meeting. And I'd have to ask for a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Vice Chair Ledgerse, seconded by Member Coburn. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will allow, or sorry, I will now call the vote. All those in favor? It's carried. And now I will, and go ahead, Member Coburn.
I just wanted to make a shout out to member Michelle, who's done a fantastic job stepping in as chair from her vice chair position. I just wanted to say how much I've really appreciated that. Thank you, Michelle.
And I know as staff, we also echo Member Coburn's notes and accolades. Michelle's done a very good job at chairing the committee over the last several months. And with that, I will turn it back to now Vice Chair Michelle Ledgerse.
All right, thank you. So moving on to item 6.3, new applications. So 6.3.1, development application 2025-073, the consent application B1425 for Elizabeth Van Loo and the estate of Cornelius Van Loo. So this meeting is of the Committee of Adjustment to consider the application for consent for Elizabeth Van Loo and the estate of Cornelius Van Loo under Section 51 of the Planning Act. Mr. Secretary Treasurer, please go ahead with your review.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There have been no requests for deferral or withdrawal of the application. Notice of this application in accordance with Ontario Regulation 19796 made under the Planning Act was given on September 16th, 2025 by mail to all property owners within 60 meters of the property, which this is subject to this application, and to all required agencies. Notice was also posted on property and on the township's website. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment, you must make a written request to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee. Only a person or public body that requests a notice of decision of the Committee in respect to this proposed severance may submit an appeal. I'm sorry, you're muted.
Sorry about that. So I will now read the recommendation. It has been demonstrated that the proposed application B1425 is consistent with the Provincial Policy Statement 2024 and complies with the Grey County Official Plan and the general intent and purpose of the Township of Georgian Blast Zoning Bylaw 2020-020. Accordingly, it is recommended that the application be approved with the following conditions applied. 1, that a reference plan be completed and a copy filed with the municipal clerk, or an exemption from the reference plan be received from the Land Registry Office. That pursuant to Section 5342 of the Planning Act, the certificate of consent be affixed to the deed within 2 years of the giving of the notice of decision. Note, Section 5343 of the Planning Act requires that the transaction approved by this consent must be carried out within 2 years of the issuance of the certificate, i.e. stamping of the deed. 3, that the applicant pays the applicable consent certification fee at the time of certification of the deed. 4, that a supporting zoning bylaw amendment be in force and effect to rezone the land to a site-specific zone under the Ag Zone to prohibit the future construction of a new residential dwelling of any type on the retained land, as well as to reduce the minimum lot area requirement for an agricultural lot in the Ag Zone, as it applies to the retained parcels from 40 hectares to 39.6 hectares, and reduce the minimum lot area requirement of a residential lot in the Ag Zone as it applies to the severed parcel from 40 hectares to 1.2 hectares, and increase maximum lot coverage of the Ag Zone as it applies to the severed parcel from 1% to 10% for the accessory building, and from 10% to 14% for all buildings. 5, that the approval and or interest permits be obtained from the Grey County Transportation Department for the interests to the retained parcel from Grey Bruce line, and that the proposed field entrance be located 100 meters from the existing entrance of the severed lot. 6, that the owner obtains a Section 65 report for the proposed severance. Can I please have a mover and a seconder, please? It was moved by Member Coburn and seconded by Mayor Carlson. Could the planner please give us a summary of the planning report regarding this file?
Of course. Thank you, and through you, the chair. So the purpose of application B1425 is to sever approximately a 1.24 hectare parcel of land containing a dwelling and accessory structures from a 40.91 hectare agricultural property as a surplus farm dwelling severance. So 39.67 hectares will be retained for continued agricultural use. The subsequent application Z0925 proposes to reduce the minimum lot area requirement of an agricultural lot in the AG zone as it applies to the retained parcel from 40 hectares to 39.6 hectares, and also to apply the no dwelling clause to the parcel. It also proposes to reduce the minimum lot area requirement of the residential lot in the AG zone as it applies to the sever parcel from 40 hectares to 1.2 hectares, and increase the lot coverage of the AG zone as it applies to the severed parcel from 1% to 10% for the accessory buildings and from 10% to 14% for all buildings. No changes are proposed to the environmental protection zone, and no other relief to the zoning bylaw has been requested. With regards to relevant consultation pertaining to this application, notice of the proposed severance was issued on September 16th, 2025, and the following comments have been received. So from the County of Grey Planning and Development Services, the township staff received comments dated October 3rd, 2025, stating that Georgian Bluff staff are satisfied with the provided justification and that it addresses the criteria in section 5.2.3(1)(b), and that County Transportation Services comments are addressed. Planning staff have no comments or concerns as it pertains to the application. We also received comments from Saugeen Ojibwe Nation dated May 14th, 2025, indicating that SON does not require an assessment for Mrs. Van Loo's property. Hydro One provided comments on October 2nd, 2025, noting that they are in receipt of the application for the consent, B1425, dated 2025-0916. We have reviewed the documents concerning the noted plan and have no comments or concerns at this time. We also received comments from GEI, dated September 17th, 2025, noting that the property is within the drainage area of a municipal drain, specifically the Webb Municipal Drain, and should the landowner wish to continue with the severing their lot, a condition of approval would be that the owner obtain that Section 65 report for their proposed severance. The report would only be created once the severance is approved as a condition of the severance. The GEI would require a sketch of the proposed severance from the landowner for the report. And lastly, we did receive comments from Grey Sauble Conservation Authority, dated October 7th, 2025, indicating that GSCA has no objections to the proposed consent and zoning bylaw amendment, as it is not anticipated to have any impacts on Ontario Regulation 4124 and or the natural hazard features. And those are the extent of the comments received so far. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I will now call upon the applicant to provide comment. Please state your first and last name for the record prior to beginning.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Ron Davidson, and I am a planning consultant, and tonight I'm representing Liz Van Loo on this application. I shall keep it nice and brief for everyone. So Liz owns a 40-hectare farm property, or 100 acres, with a house on it, and she's hoping to sever off this house along with a very small parcel of land, and the barn will go with it. Before we filed the application, we had our pre-consultation discussions with the township and with the county, and also with Saugeen Ojibwe Nation. Didn't know about the township drainage matter at that time. We learned about that last week, but that's fine. Liz is aware that she'll have to pay for the engineer to conduct that Section 65 report, as it is called that. So Typically, a severance of a residential lot in an agricultural designation, otherwise prime agricultural land, is typically not allowed except in the case where it is a surplus farmhouse severance. And that's something that I'm sure the committee has heard about before. Liz is a bona fide farmer. She owns other farm properties in the area, and this house is surplus to her residential needs. So she does check all the boxes for a surplus farmhouse severance. The official plan and the PPS want us to keep these lots as small as possible so that we're not taking land out of agricultural production, and that's exactly what we're doing here. The lot is essentially only large enough to accommodate the house, the barn, the well, and the septic system. No actively cropped land will be lost as a result of the severance. So yeah, the proposal does line up perfectly with the county official plan and similar policies that are found in the provincial planning statement. As you heard from Ben, there is a zoning bylaw amendment necessary to do a couple of things, including apply the no house clause to the farmland, so no house can ever be built on the farmlands. And on that note, we have filed that rezoning application, and it's going to be dealt with by council at a public meeting on November 5th. Madam Chair, members of council, that's all I have to say. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And if I can't, I believe Liz is on the line with us as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So no members of the public registered to provide comment. I will now call upon any members of the public who wish to make on the next page here. Comment on this application. Please state your first and last name prior to the record beginning. Nope. All right. Are there any points raised by the planner, applicant, or public that the committee wishes to respond to? Member Coburn, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Ladresse. I don't have any issues with this application, but I wonder if I could take a moment and ask Michael and Ben, when we are looking at requests for severing due to surplus residential buildings, does our official plan or zoning plan specify the size of that? And like, what is it that we're supposed to be aiming for? And if it doesn't, will we be looking at adding that in our update?
I'm gonna let Ben take a shot at that as our planner.
Yeah, thank you, and through you, the chair. So our zoning does state an agricultural minimum lot area for applicable agricultural land. So we would base that on the zoning. With regards to the official plan, it does note its status and defers to the county OP for comment or for comments on that. Michael, if I'm missing anything, feel free to add.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I will now call the vote on the motion as presented. So can I ask for a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by member Carlson and seconded by member Coburn. Okay, I will now call the vote. I think I missed a step here. Hold on. Oh, so I didn't need a mover and a seconder, right? Is that correct? We'll just call the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. If there's no further discussion, I will now call for the adjournment of this public hearing. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by member Coburn and seconded by Mayor Carlson. All those in favor? Wonderful. That's carried, and this public hearing is now adjourned. So moving on to item 6.3.2, development application 2025-073, consent application B1325, and minor variance application A0725 for Elizabeth Van Leeuw and the estate of Cornelius Van Leeuw. So this is a meeting of the Committee of Adjustment to consider applications for consent and minor variance for Elizabeth Van Leeuw and the estate of Cornelius Van Leeuw under Section 53 and 51 of the Planning Act. Mr. Secretary Treasurer, please go ahead with your review.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There have been no requests for deferral or withdrawal of the application. Notice of this application, in accordance with Ontario Regulation 197/96, made under the Planning Act, was given on September 16, 2025, by mail to all property owners within 60 meters of the property, which is subject to the application, and to all related agencies. Notice was also posted on the property and on the township's website. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment, you must make a written request to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee. Only a person or a public body that requests a notice of decision of the committee in respect to this proposed severance and zoning amendment, minor variance, may submit an appeal.
Yeah, I will now read the recommendation. It's been demonstrated that applications B1325 and A0725 for Elizabeth Van Loo and the estate of Cornelius Van Loo for the land described in Concession B, Part Lot 9, is consistent with the Provincial Policy Statement 2024, conforms to the County of Gray's official plan, and complies with the intent of the Township of Georgian Bluff Zoning Bylaw 2020-020. It is recommended that the application be approved subject to the following conditions. 1, that a reference plan be completed and a copy filed with the municipal clerk, or an exemption from the reference plan be received from the Land Registry Office. The reference plan should conform substantially to the sketch attached to Schedule A filed with the application for consent. 2, that pursuant to Section 5342 of the Planning Act, the certificate of consent be affixed to the deed within 2 years of the giving of notice of decision. Note, Section 5343 of the Planning Act requires that the transaction approved by the consent must be carried out within 2 years of the issuance of the certificate, i.e. stamping of the deed. Number 3, that the applicant pays the applicable consent certification fee at the time of the certification of the deed. 4, that the payment of the balance of any outstanding taxes as of the date of the certification of the transfer of deed with respect to the property that is subject to the application shall be made to the Treasurer of the Township of Georgian Bluff. Can I please have a mover and a seconder? Been moved by Member Colborne and seconded by Mayor Carlton. Could the planner please give us a summary of the planning report regarding this file?
Thank you. And through you, the chair, the purpose of application B1325 is to sever approximately 0.279 hectares of land from the subject property for the purposes of a lot addition to the adjacent property located at 161-375 A line within the Township of Georgian Bluffs. The retained parcel will continue to be used for agricultural uses with no structures proposed at this time. No new lot will result from this lot addition. The purpose of application A0725 is to permit a reduction of the side yard requirement for an accessory building in the agricultural zone from 2 meters to 1 meter in order to recognize the existing location of the building. With regards to relevant consultation pertaining to this application, notice of the proposed severance was issued on September 11th, 2025, and comments have been received from the following agencies. County of Grey Planning Staff and Development Services have provided comments indicating that provided Georgian Bluff staff are satisfied with the per justification and that it addresses the criteria in section 5.6.63, county planning staff have no concerns with the subject application. We also received comments from Saugeen Ojibwe Nation dated May 14th, 2025, indicating that SON does not require assessments for Ms. Van Loo's property. We received comments from Grace Sobel, Conservation Authority Risk Management Office, dated September 11th, 2025, indicating that the property falls outside of the vulnerable source protection area where source protection policies apply. Therefore, they have no comments or concerns associated with the application under the Clean Water Act. We received comments from GEI, dated September 17th, 2025, indicating that roll number is not within the drainage area of a municipal drain, and as such, they do not have further comments regarding the property. I just want to note that we did receive comments today from Grace Sobel Conservation Authority, from MAC, indicating that they have no formal comments as it pertains to this proposal, as the property does not feature any mapped regulated areas or natural hazards, provided that Grey County has no concerns with regards to the proposed karst on the northerly woodland portion. GSCA has no comments or concerns. So that is the extent of the comments received thus far. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now call upon the applicant to provide comments. please state your first and last name prior to the beginning.
Yes, hello again. I am still Ron Davidson, and I'm still a planner. And I'm still working for Liz Van Loo, along with her neighbor, Jeff Trask. And again, I'll keep this short. We did the pre-consultation thing with the Township, County, and Son before we filed the applications, and nothing was brought to our attention in terms of being of a concern. So quickly here, Jeff owns a small residential lot, and on that lot is his house and his garage. He also has a shed that's partially located on his property, but it's also partially located on Liz's property. So that's part of an existing problem that we're hoping to correct. Now, also behind Jeff's property on Liz's, but very close to his rear lot line, is a barn. That barn obviously belongs to Liz because it's on her property, but Jeff has used it for a number of years for personal storage. So what Jeff and Liz would like to do is do a lot line adjustment, is what we call it. So as you heard from Ben, there's no new lot being created, but it is a severance, and it will do it will have the effect of expanding Jeff's property boundary at the west side, so that the shed is now entirely on his property, and it'll expand his property at the rear, so that the old barn will also be now on Jeff's property. So the official plan designates the property as agricultural, tries to, like you heard me in my last presentation, discourage residential lot creation, but it does allow for minor expansions in the agricultural area. And I've prepared a report that explains how this lines up with the official plan, but I would like to just, without getting into too much detail, just mention a couple points. First of all, Jeff's existing lot is about 0.3 hectares in size. That's very small. A lot like that would never be approved today, basically due to the septic system concerns. That lot's just too small by nitrate standards in Ontario. Secondly, we want to now add the barn to the property. Well, if we're reapplying to create this lot for the first time today, there's no doubt that we would be required to include the barn with the residential lot. It doesn't make any sense to have a barn so close. In fact, it's kind of bad planning, because there's probably some fear that maybe somebody would use that barn for livestock, and then you've got a residential lot like 20 meters away. And so anyways, we're avoiding that issue, or resolving that issue. Thirdly, this encroachment issue involving the shed, that's existed since 1975. Somebody put the lot line in the wrong spot. We'd like to correct that. And then Mr. Trask has been using the barn that's on Liz's property for a number of years. Only makes sense to include it with his property. And what's really important in this case is no land will be removed from agricultural production as a result of this lot line adjustment. So good planning in my mind in terms of this lot line adjustment. There's a minor variance that's required. It reduces the side yard requirement of the aforementioned shed from 2 meters to 1 meter. Not going to go into too much detail, but it doesn't make any sense to provide the 2 meters, the full 2 meters, because there's a fence there at the 1 meter lot line. So it would be silly to ship that entire fence along that entire westerly lot line to provide for a 2 meter side yard. Why not just reduce the minor variance, or pardon me, approve a minor variance to reduce the requirement from 2 meters down to 1 meter? And that can't be a bad thing, keeping in mind that right now the lot line runs pretty much smack down the middle of the shed. So, I mean, a 1 meter side yard is better than a 50% encroachment. So lots of good merit there for the minor variance as well. Madam Chair, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. No members of the public registered to provide comment. I now call upon any members of the public who may wish to make comment on this application. Please state your first and last name for the record prior to beginning. Don't believe we have anyone. Are there any points raised by the planner or the applicant that the committee wishes to respond to? There's no further discussion. I will now call the vote on the motion as presented. All those in favor? Okay, that is carried. There's no further discussion. I will now call for an adjournment of this public hearing. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? It's moved by Mayor Carlton and seconded by Member Coburn. And all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. This public hearing is now adjourned. All right. Moving on to item 6.3.3, development application 2025-073, consent application B1925, Mitchell and Miranda Wright. This is a meeting of the Committee of Adjustment to consider the application for a consent for Mitchell and Miranda Wright under Section 51 of the Planning Act. Mr. Secretary Treasurer, please go ahead with your review.
Almost caught myself being muted there. Sorry, and thank you, Madam Chair. There have been no requests for deferral or withdrawal of the application. Notice of this application in accordance with Ontario Regulation 19796 made under the Planning Act was given on September 23rd by mail to all property owners within 60 meters of the property and to all the required agencies. Notice was also posted on the property and on the township's website. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment, you must make a written request to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee. And only a person or public body that requests a notice of decision of the committee in respect to this proposed severance may submit an appeal.
Okay, I will now read the recommendation. It has been demonstrated that the proposed application B1925 is consistent with the Provincial Planning Statement 2024, complies with the county or Grey County's official plan, is consistent with the Township of Georgian Bluff's official plan, and aligns with the general intent and purpose of the Township of Georgian Bluff zoning bylaw 2020-020. Accordingly, it is recommended that the application B19 be approved with the following conditions applied. 1, that a reference plan be completed and a copy filed with the municipal clerk, or an exemption from the reference plan be received from the Land Registry Office. 2, that pursuant to Section 5342 of the Planning Act, the certificate of consent be affixed to the deed within 2 years of the giving of the notice of decision, or as specified in the Planning Act at the time of the deed stamping. 3, that the applicants pay the applicable consent certification fee at the time of certification of the deed. 4, that the applicant pays 5% cash in lieu of parkland in accordance with the Planning Act. 5, that the approval and or interest permit be obtained from the Township of Georgian Bluff's Operations Department for the entrance to the severed parcels from Alexandria Street. 6, that the servicing option study be provided per policy 8.9.110C to ensure that the site can be viably accommodated on municipal water and private sewage services, and that the site conditions are suitable for the long-term provision of such services. Can I ask for a mover and a seconder, please? So moved by Member Coburn and seconded by Mayor Carlton. Could the planner please give us a summary of the planning report regarding this file?
Of course. Thank you, and through you, the chair. So the purpose of application B1925 is to sever one 1,606.24 square meter parcel of land intended for future residential use. 4,411.08 square meters is proposed to be retained for continued residential use. Notice of complete application and notice of public hearing was circulated on September 23rd, 2025 to various agencies for review. The following comments were received thus far. So we got a comment from Grey Sauble Risk Management Office dated September 23rd, 2025, indicating that from the information noted above in the application for the severance of the vacant land intended for future residential building use, it has been determined that neither Section 57, prohibited activities, nor Section 58, regulated activities, applies on the above noted property pursuant to the Clean Water Act 2006. Additionally, no policies apply to the activities identified in the application under the approved source protection plan for the Saugeen, Grey Sauble, and Northern Bruce Peninsula Source Protection Region, effective July 1st, 2016. However, it is important to note that the above property is located in the events-based area for the East Linton drinking water system, whereby fuel storage greater than 2,500 liters in this area would be regulated. We also received comments from GEI dated September 23rd, 2025. So roll number and the associated roll number is not within the drainage area of a municipal drain, and as such, they have no further comments regarding the lot. So I just want to note that planning staff did receive today comments from Grey Sauble Conservation Authority indicating that GSCA has no objections to the proposed consent as it does not impact natural hazards, features, and/or areas subject to Ontario Regulation 4124. While GSCA does not regulate the general surface drainage or groundwater, it is advisable that the future development to have an engineered grading and drainage plan to ensure appropriate site grading and drainage measures are implemented for the proposed development of the building at the building permit stage. So, and just to note, any properties under 10 acres that are doing development works do require that for a building permit, so that would be added at that time. So that's the extent of the comments received thus far. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll now call upon the applicant to provide comments. Please state your first and last name for the record prior to beginning.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mitch Wright. All I guess I really have to say is that our plan is to have our in-laws build a house beside us. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So no members of the public registered to provide comment. We'll now call upon any members of the public who may wish to make comment on this application. Please state your first and last name prior to the record prior to beginning. I don't think anyone is here, so we'll move on. Are there any points raised by the planner or the applicant that the committee wishes to respond to? Member Coburn, please go ahead.
Thank you. I suspect it's just a wording anomaly. I'm looking at condition number 6 regarding the servicing study. I'm not particularly comfortable with the word should be completed because that implies that there is some choice in the matter, whereas noted by the county under policy 8.9 section 10C in the report, it's required. So I would just, unless the planning staff can give me some rationale for why the word should is in there, I would recommend that that be eliminated. That word should, not the condition.
Would the planner be able to speak to that?
Yep, that can be done, certainly.
Yeah, perfect. Any other comments? Okay, are we able to call the vote with the amendment of the word should to shall? Yeah, okay. All right, so I will call the vote. Just make note that we're changing the wording from should to shall as a requirement for item number 6. Michael, go ahead.
Sorry, I think you need to ask for a mover and seconder for that amendment and then call the vote.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the word change? All right, thank you. Member Coburn and Mayor Carlson. And we can call the vote now. All those in favor? Carried. There's no further discussion. I will now call for an adjournment of this public hearing.
Sorry. I'm
ahead.
sorry, Chair Ladresse. So we voted on the amendment and now we would vote on the amended motion.
Okay. All right, so I will call the vote now on the amended motion. All those in favor? All right, thank you. So that is carried. If there's no further discussion, I will now call for an adjournment of this public hearing. Can I have a mover and a seconder? So moved by Member Coburn and seconded by Mayor Carlson. All those in favor? Wonderful, that is carried. And thank you. This public hearing is now adjourned. All right, moving on, I believe this is our last application. It's item 6.3.4, Development Application 2025-076, Consent Application B1625, B1725, B1825, for 1530953 Ontario Limited. So this is a meeting of the Committee of Adjustment to consider applications for consent for 1530953 Ontario Limited under Section 51 of the Planning Act. Mr. Secretary, please go ahead with your review.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There have been no requests for deferral or withdrawal of the application. Notice of this application, in accordance with Ontario Regulation 19796, made under the Planning Act, was given on September 23rd by mail to all property owners within 60 meters of the property and to all required agencies. Notice was also posted on the property and on the township's website. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment, you must make a written request to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee. Only a person or public body that requests a notice of decision of the Committee in respect of the proposed severance says, because there's 3 of them, may submit an appeal.
Thank you. I will now read the recommendation. Township planning staff respective severance applications B1625, B1725 this time so that the applicant can provide the County of Grey and to the Township of Georgia Left as requested. Can I ask for a mover and a seconder, please? So moved by Mayor Carlton and seconded by Member Coburn. Could the planner please go to the summary regarding this file?
Of course. Thank you, and through the chair. The purpose of applications B1625, B1725, and B1825 is to sever 3 0.19 hectare parcels of vacant land intended for future residential use. 4.14 hectares of vacant land will be retained. With regards to relevant consultation pertaining to these applications, notice of the proposed severances was issued on September 11th, 2025, and comments have been received from the following agencies. From the County of Grey, from the County of Grey Planning and Development Services, we received comments on October 2nd, 2025, indicating that they have had the opportunity to review the submitted application, and it's their recommendation that the application be deferred to allow for additional time for them to correspond with the applicant regarding a few matters. Let me just go through here quickly. Essentially, they're looking for additional information pertaining to the settlement area, the history of the property. They've noted that there is karst on the property, so whether or not that is feasible to be extracted, or as well as from a hazard standpoint. As well as they're looking for additional information to determine that it won't impact the future long-term development of the property. Let me just quickly go through here. As well as they indicate that they would request that a planning justification report be submitted to support the county OP policies, and additional justification to be submitted in support of the application. Perfect. And we also received comments from Grey Sauble Conservation Authority Risk Management Office, dated September 11th, 2025, indicating that the property falls outside of the vulnerable source protection area where the source protection policies apply, and therefore we have no comments associated with the applications under the Clean Water Act. We received comments from Saugeen Ojibwe Nation on September 22nd, 2025, indicating that they are requesting that the assessment be redone that was conducted in 2013. As SON was not involved in that, and we are concerned about the quality of the assessment, and the field conditions standards aren't up. Our field conditions aren't up to standard. We also received comments from GEI on September 11th, 2025, indicating that the property located at 91 2nd Street in Shallow Lake is not within the drainage area for the municipal drain, and as a result, they have no further comments. Hydro One comments dated September 17th, 2025, stated that we are in receipt of the consent applications B1625, B1725, and B1825, dated 2025-09-11. We have reviewed the documents concerning the noted plan and have no comments or concerns at this time. We also did receive comments from our engineering team here at the Township of Georgian Bluffs, dated September 29th, 2025, asking for a functional servicing and traffic impact brief, a water servicing capacity study that would confirm that the municipal water main supplying the site is of adequate diameter and pressure to meet the peak demand of the proposed development in consultation with the relevant utility authorities, and that all costs with new infrastructure upgrades or studies required as a result of this development are borne by the developer. The developer is solely responsible for the restoration of public right-of-ways disturbed by construction activities, e.g. for soil testing, utility connections, and whatnot. This includes, but is not limited to, complete reconstruction of the road base, asphalt paving, and sidewalks to meet pre-construction standards, pre-construction conditions, and or current municipal standards. And we did receive a comment from a resident, Tammy Dieter, indicate on September 29th, 2025, indicating that they are writing to inquire about the proposed severance of 3 lots off 2nd Street in the Shallow Lake. Specifically, they would like clarification on the following points: road access, which road is proposed to provide access to the new lots? Will the access be directly off 2nd Street or Spencer Street in brackets Noble, or is a new laneway extension planned? They also seek information on with regards to infrastructure upgrades, and if there are any planned upgrades to 2nd Street as a part of this development, i.e. road widening or repaving, and will snow removal be affected or improved? And lastly, municipal water usage. Will the new lots be required to be connected to municipal water? And that they would wish to be notified of any decisions regarding the proposal, including approvals, conditions, and changes. And then just to note, planning staff did follow up with their questions on October 1st, 2025, indicating that with regards to road access, access to the newly created lots will be provided via 2nd Street within the Township of Georgian Bluffs. Each parcel will be required to obtain an entrance permit from the Township of Georgian Bluffs prior to development. No new roadway or extensions are proposed as a result of the application. With regards to infrastructure upgrades, currently no decisions have been made by the Committee of Adjustment regarding infrastructure upgrades to 2nd Street. As such, with regards to road widening, repaving, or other improvements. With regards to snow removal, there are no anticipated changes to the existing snow removal services at this time. Any impacts and improvements to municipal services resulting from the development will be assessed as part of this township standard operating planning. With regards to municipal water servicing, all 3 proposed parcels will be required to connect to the Shallow Lake municipal water system. And with regards to that notification of decision, we will ensure that they are notified of any decisions related to the proposal, including approvals, conditions, or amendments as they become available. Those are the extent of the comments received thus far. And again, based on the comments received to date, planning staff respectfully recommend that the Committee of Adjustment defer making a decision on the severance applications B1625, B1725, and B1825 to allow for the applicant to provide some additional information to the County of Grey and the Township of Georgian Bluffs as requested. Thank you so much, and happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. We'll now call upon the applicant to provide comments. Please state your first and last name for the record prior to beginning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Bill Klingenberg with Klingenberg Design, and beside me I have Gary Langen, who is the owner behind the numbered company and the owner of the property, and essentially the applicant. So yes, this application is to sever 3 lots within the settlement area of the village of Shallow Lake. We'll get to the chase right away. We respectfully request that the application be approved subject to 4 conditions. And the reasoning behind our request is that it meets a provincial policy statement where settlement areas shall be the focus of growth and development, and planning authorities shall support general intensification and redevelopment to support the achievement of complete communities. We feel that our application meets that requirement. The Grey County official plan designates it as a secondary settlement area, again within the village of Shallow Lake, and therefore the township's official plan does apply. to that and is applicable with respect to land use policies for this property. Under the township's official plan, we are only recommending recommending infilling and rounding out in a manner consistent with existing land uses. This is an existing secondary settlement area. It's zoned residential. The three severances meet the zoning bylaw of the township with respect to area and size. So we're not proposing any zoning amendment, nor are we proposing any official plan amendment with this application. In both the provincial policy statement and the official plan, there are requirements for karst and for archaeological assessment. We have completed and submitted a karst study indicating that there is no karst features to be concerned about. The archaeological study was completed, and with the request of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, they're requesting that it be redone. We are happy to do that. The applicant is also willing to extend the water. It's my understanding that there is water capacity for these three lots, and we are happy to extend the water main across the frontage of these three lots. And finally, we also had a nitrate study completed, and the nitrate was not shown as a concern for these three lots. So again, just in conclusion, we respectfully ask the committee to approve these severances subject to 4 conditions: that there is a karst study submitted to the satisfaction of the township, an archaeological study submitted to the satisfaction of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, that we extend the water services to the three lots, and that we also submit a nitrate study satisfactory to the township. With respect to stormwater management, all three lots are under the requirement, the 10-acre requirement, and will be subject to a engineered grading plan upon building permit application. So we feel that a stormwater management study at this point in time is not required for the three lots. And we also are of the opinion that a traffic impact study is not required for 3 residential lots within a settlement area in the village of Salt Lake. Again, all 3 lots front onto a municipal open and maintained road. The 3 lots have a walkability component to them. They are all within walking distance of the downtown core, as well as township amenities. So the soccer field, there's a ball diamond next door, and there are walking trails close by. So we feel that these 3 lots would be appropriate in this situation.
Great, thank you. No members of the public registered to provide comment. I now call upon any members of the public who may wish to make comment on this application. Please state your first and last name for the record prior to beginning. I'm going to ask the applicant if you could mute your microphone, please. Frequency. Thank you. Are there any points raised by the planner, the applicant, or the public that the committee wishes to respond to? Member Colborne, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Ladresse, and through you to our planning staff. We see your recommendation to defer. I guess my first question is, we always are keen not to force applicants and property owners to wait for extended periods of time to do what they wish to do. So I guess my first question is, how long a deferral are we looking at? And I know that's dependent on receiving the information you need to receive. But my second question is, you have outlined a second option for us to approve it with multiple conditions. What would cause you to favor a deferral as opposed to approval with quite a number of conditions applied to it?
Thank you. And through you, the chair. So with regards to the reason for the deferral is it allows for the applicant to have more time to go back and discuss and hopefully take a few items off the condition list prior to the notice of decision and that 2-year clock commencing. So essentially what it is to allow the applicant time to obtain the necessary studies and work with county staff to potentially revise or make any potential changes to the proposal, or just to obtain the required information requested by county and township planning staff prior to commencing that 2-year clock with regards to issuing that notice of decision and that requirement to fulfill those conditions. With regards to bringing it back, that would be a challenging one to put a time frame on, as it would be dependent on when the applicant can obtain the necessary studies, and as well as when we can arrange time to collaborate with the county planning staff so we can all be on the same page with regards to this proposal. If the applicant was able to obtain all of the required information, we could bring that back early in the new year. But again, that would be dependent on how we work, when we obtain that information and the next available Committee of Adjustment meeting from there.
Thank you. And just if I may, Chair Ladresse, one other question. How do we typically handle this kind of situation with other applicants? I just want to make sure we're being consistent.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, I can address that because I have a little more history with the committee than Ben does. Typically, in these sort of situations, the committee has voted in favor of a deferral without a hard timeline bringing the application back. That gives the applicant time to probably, essentially reduce the number of concerns and conditions required for the application when it does finally come back to the Committee of Adjustment. And it also gives the committee a better sense of knowing whether or not the application is able to move forward, because at that point the applicants have addressed some of those outstanding concerns that would have made the lots undevelopable. In this case, the county and township staff have provided a number of potential conditions and some concerns. With these level of conditions, concerns noted in the past, the committee has voted to defer or deny applications.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I am always looking for consistency between applicants, so that's good to know. It's while I can appreciate folks wanting to get houses built because we keep hearing that we need more options for housing, I can also appreciate that we're needing more information in order to make an informed decision on this one. So thank you.
Okay. If there's no further discussion with the members, I will call the vote on the motion as presented. At this time, I don't believe the applicant can contribute. Is that correct, Michael?
Sorry. Can I ask a question?
We have to ask Michael first if we can
Yes.
allow this.
And again, to you, Madam Chair, the committee could allow that if the committee chose it. It doesn't need to exactly follow this. If the committee wishes to hear further from Bill, then that would be up to committee, and then go from there.
Okay. I will pose the question to the committee members. Would we permit a question from the applicant at this time?
I'm in favor of allowing a question, yes.
Okay, all right. The applicant, you can go ahead with the question.
Thank you. I guess my question is regarding the Grey County planning comments. Because this is within the settlement area of the township of Georgian Bluffs, in the official plan from the township, it speaks to what official plan is applicable. And in this case, it is the township's official plan that is applicable. And it's the areas that are outside of a settlement area where the county's plan is applicable. So that's sort of the justification behind our request to move this application forward, is because the county official plans, like it falls under the township's plan, so it's really the township's planning department that would receive these studies and comment, in my opinion.
Would Michael or Ben, do you want to respond to that, or another comment? Go ahead.
Thank you, and to you, Madam Chair. I understand where Mr. Klingberg is coming from in terms of the applicabilities of the official plans. In areas where applications come within the settlement area, the township still circulates to the county as a commenting agency, and as such would take county comments into consideration just as we would with any other commenting agency.
So if there's no further, I will now call the vote on the motion as presented. All those in favor? All right, so that is for the deferral, and the deferral is carried. If there is no further discussion, I will now call for the adjournment of this public hearing. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? So moved by Member Colborne and seconded by Mayor Carlton. Meeting is now adjourned. Moving on to item number 7. We have no unfinished business, so we can move on to item number 8. The next regular meeting is scheduled for November 18th at 5 p.m. There's no further business. I will now call for the adjournment of this meeting. Can I have a mover? Member Colborne, please go ahead.
Sorry about that. Thank you. I just wanted to note for the admin staff and the committee that I will not be able to attend the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you. All right. If there's no further business, I will now call for an adjournment of this meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Okay. So it's moved by Member Colborne and seconded by Mayor Carlton. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Thank you very much. And I think Michael might want to pop in to say something. So.
No, sorry. I just thought you might be missing the moving and seconding of the adjournment, but you caught me just as I was kind of throwing my hand out. So thank you for that.
All right. So we're all done. Have a great evening, everyone. And we'll see some of you next month.
Thanks.